Welcome to Tech Primers. In this video, we are going to see what is Git and GitHub. So, if you are familiar with the repository system, so we store our code base in a repository, right? So, Git is a repository, okay, and GitHub is a place where all the codes reside. So, it's like all the open source codes are in the GitHub repository. So, if you see, I have a profile here called Tech Primers, and I have uploaded all the repositories or the code bases which we did, right? So I have done lots of videos. All the videos I have posted the code samples into the GitHub repository. If you notice here, I already have 24 repositories. So these are basically 24 different code bases. So if I go, let's say I select a particular code base, I can see all the files which are there in the code base. I have some documentation as well, and you can see the branches, you can see commits, you can see how many contributors contributed. You can fork from here. So basically Git is a repository version controlling system, and GitHub is a place where all the open source projects are hosted using the Git version control system. So why Git is so powerful, right? So one major difference between the Git and the SVN and the CVS communities are the SVN and CVS, you have to commit the code directly onto the repository, right? However, in Git, you basically clone the repository locally. So it's a distributed version control system. So let's say you have a repository. So for example, let's take this particular repository. So I have this particular repository in GitHub. So what I will do is I will clone this particular repository locally. Okay, so basically what happens is we create a copy of this particular repository locally, and you can work that locally. So you don't have to have internet or something to push the code to the main repository. Instead, you have the code in the local repository. You can do all the changes in the local repository, and then whenever you have internet or whenever you have connectivity with the internet, you can push that to the remote repository. So that is the powerful thing about Git. And since the repository is local, right, and it is running in your machine, which is there in your machine, it is very powerful and very fast. Okay, so it is so fast that okay, whatever commits your branch creations and everything you do, it's like super fast compared to svn commit. Okay, and you are going to push to the remote repository or pull from the remote repository once in a while only. Okay, so let's see how GitHub works, right? So I'll show you. I have already installed Git in my machine. Okay, so we are already in a okay, I'll create one more directory so that I have I was previously trying it out. So I'll create a directory called git demo. Okay, so I'll go to the git demo. So basically if you see, there is nothing in this particular directory. Okay, so what we need to do is, in order to create a git repository, let's say this particular folder, I want to create it as a git repository. So before that, let's check if git is working. Yeah, I have git version 2.5.4. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say git init. So git init will create a repository for us. Okay, so this basically creates a repository called git hyphen demo. Okay, this is like locally, if you want to create a repo and then you want to push it, you can do that. But if let's say you want to clone a particular repository, you have to use some other command. So I'll do that later first, but first let's see how to create a repository, right? So we have created a git repository. Okay, and if you notice here, there is a folder called .git which is hidden. So all the stuff which are related to git will be inside the .git folder. So currently there is nothing in this particular folder. So I'm going to create a file called readme.md, and inside that I'm going to just say that hello. Okay, I'm not doing anything else. So I have one file. Now what do I need to do is, I have the git repository initialized, so I need to commit this particular file into the repository, right? So at present, there will be a branch, so that branch is called master branch. So if I just say git status, if you see, it says on branch master. So there is always one branch which is the ultimate production branch, which is the master, and you can create develop branches or feature branches. So in general, what people do is people follow different branching strategies. So there is a branching strategy by branching strategy. Let me see. So there is a branching successful branching strategy by Vincent. Let's check that particular branching strategy, right? So how people branch. So if you basically see, this is the branching strategy. So let me go to the PDF which he had created so that we can have a full view. So this is the one. Okay. So let this load. So Git basically works on different branches. If you notice here, develop and the master are the major branches. So master is always the copy of production, or basically whatever is there in master, it is production ready and ready to be released to production. So that is the master. So develop is when where you do all your development. So master is where your production tag is, production releases, the production version is, and develop is when you do all your local changes or your trunk based changes. So all your feature changes and all those things. So whenever you work on any feature, you can create a separate feature branch. If you notice here, in this strategy what they say is, you so develop has all the changes which are there currently. So you can branch out different features. So if there is a major feature or future release, you just branch it out from develop, you finish the feature release, and then you again merge it to develop. Okay, so by that way develop is always the latest, and it all has the changes. So whoever wants to commit something onto the develop branch or onto the repository, they create a feature branch, work on the feature branch, and then again merge it onto the develop branch. Okay, that is what they do. And if you want to do a release, we cut a release version from the develop branch. If you see here, we cut a release version from the develop branch and we create something called release branches, and from that release branch you merge it again to master. Actually these are like different. If there are bug fixes, right, after you cut the release branch, if there are bug fixes, then you can do that in the release branch, and then you can push that to master. So once you push this to master, the same needs to be pushed to develop because you have done some big bug fixes, right? So those needs to be pushed again to develop, and then finally this release branch can be deleted. So same way with feature branches. So once you're merged everything to the develop, your feature branches are gone, so you can delete them. So Git mostly works on this concept. So people, what they do is, if they are working on a separate feature, they create a separate feature branch, work on the feature branch, merge it to into the develop branch, and then delete that particular feature branch. So that is how everybody works in Git, and that is how Git works as well, because it is easier for you to create branches and then merge that to the develop, rather than working on develop, may always on develop. Okay, so that is about Git. So let's so you got the concept, right? So you will have a master and develop, and if you notice here in our project we have only master right now because we just created that repository, right? We just initialized that repository, but you can create your own branches. So that is what I'm going to show, how to create branches and stuff. So right now we created a file, right? Now we need to add this particular file. So before committing this particular file, we need to add this particular file and say that okay, this is a valid file and I'm going to add it or commit it. Okay, so that is why I'm just doing a add. So then later on what we need to do is we need to do a commit. Okay, readme. So I'm just giving a comment. So I'm just saying readme commit. So you have to say git commit hyphen m and then the file and then the command name. So what it will do is it will commit all the files which are pending to be committed in this particular project. Okay, so if you notice here, it has how quickly it did, right? So it committed basically to the master and there is only one file. Okay, so the git branch command will show you which branch you are in currently. So it basically it shows all the branches. Git status shows which branch you are in and what are the pending files which you need to commit. So let's say I create one more file. Okay, new test.txt. Okay, and if I say git status, it is going to tell me that okay, that file is added, but you have not added it as a git add so that I can commit it next time. Okay, that is what it is saying. So we need to say git add and then that file name. Okay, and then you need to say git commit hyphen m commit new. Okay, that gets committed, and if you notice here both the files are there. If I do ls, and if I just say git status, nothing is pending. See, it says nothing to commit, working directory clean. And if I say git branch, it is going to show me what are all the branches which are there. So now how do I create a branch from this master branch, right? So I need to say git branch, okay, hyphen b, and then I need to give a name for it. So I'm going to create a develop branch. We don't have a develop branch, sorry. I need to say git checkout, not branch. So I need to say git checkout hyphen b. So what happens is it creates a new branch from the master branch, because we were there on the master branch. So now if I say git branch, I see that there are two branches, develop and master. Okay, and it automatically checks out the develop branch and changes to the develop branch. So you saw that, right? It is saying that switched to a new branch called develop. Now if I want to create another branch, I'll say git checkout b features, let's say 1.0. I'm just saying something, so I'll just say that I created a new branch. Now if I do a git branch, it is going to show me three branches. One is master, one is develop, and feature. Okay, and it got changed to the feature branch. If you notice the feature branch, if I say git status, there is nothing pending. If I see that these two files are there automatically. Okay, and if I now modify this new file, let's say, right, this file was empty. Okay, hi YouTube, I'm just going to modify this file. Okay, and I'm going to commit this file. I'll just say add all of the things, and I'm going to say commit hyphen m updated. Okay, this is going to commit the file which got changed, which is nothing but the new test. So now if you see, we have three branches. Okay, we have three branches. One is the feature branch, one is the develop branch, one is the master branch. So inside the master branch we did not modify this new test file, but inside the feature branch we modified this new test file. So now how do I push this particular uh, code into the GitHub repository, right? So let's see how to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new repository in GitHub. So I'll just create with the same name called git demo. Okay, so that you guys can go and refer this particular repository. If you notice here, the repository got created and it shows some predefined commands what you can run. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to add a what we did is already we did a git init, we added a file, we committed that file. Now we need to do a git remote add. So basically we need to link our local repository with the GitHub repository. So that is why we need this particular command. Okay, and also I'm just going to tag it with my username here, so that it won't ask me my username because I already logged in. Okay, so if I do a git remote add origin, this is going to add my remote repository with my current local repository. Okay, so remote repositories are always called origin. So whenever you notice, there will be origin develop, origin master, or origin feature whenever you do a push. So basically your remote repositories called or are called origin repositories, and whatever you have are called local branches. So basically branches. So you have origin branches and the local branches. So that is how it is differentiated. So your repository, your local repository is differentiated with the remote repository. So if you notice here, we have done a remote add origin. Now we need to push all these branches onto the remote repository, right? So if you notice here, there is nothing here. I'll just refresh it. If you notice here, it is an empty repository. That is why it is showing some dummy text here. If I do a push, right, I need to do a push. Basically I need to push all these branches from my local repository to the GitHub repository. So I'm just going to say git push hyphen u origin master. So if I do this, it will push the master branch from here to there. Okay, I have just done a git push origin master. So let it push. If you notice here, the objects are getting pushed. Okay, I see that there is a new branch which got created, which is called master to master. Let's go and check this out here, right? Yeah, if you notice here, two files got created. So inside the readme I have an hello. Okay, inside the new text I don't have anything, it is empty. Now I have committed one branch, right? I have pushed basically one branch. Now I need to push the other branches. Okay, if I do a git push, it will by default push all the branches. So but we have different branches, right? We have develop branch, we have feature branch. So what we need to do is we need to do the same thing. So we need to do git push. Okay, I need to say origin, I need to say feature 1.0. I'll just push the feature branch once, and then I'll push the develop branch. So in general this will not happen because this is the first time you created a branch, so you need to push them manually. So I'll just say git push -u origin develop. So we have develop branch as well, right? So I'm going to push both develop and the feature branch onto the repository. So you can go, let's go and check how it is. So if you notice here, it has got push. So if I refresh it, it should show here how many branches are there. So if you notice here, there are 3 branches and there are 2 commits. If you see here, there is a feature 1.0 and it is showing something called pull request. So let's come to that pull request in a moment, but let's go and check how many branches are there. Yeah, if you notice here, default branch is called master. So as I said earlier, master is the production branch. Okay, that is what has the production code, and that is the default branch. And then you have develop and feature branches. Okay, so you always do the changes onto the develop branch. So by doing a feature branch, by doing a feature branch cut, and from the feature branch you merge it to the develop branch. So now we are going to say how to merge the feature branch change onto the develop branch. So inside the feature branch, if I go to the code base, right, I have modified this new test.txt to have an hello hi YouTube, right? I need and if you notice in the develop branch, that is not there. If I go to the develop branch, it is not here, nothing is here, right? So what do I need to do is I need to raise a pull request. So basically, so currently I'm on the develop branch, I'm raising a pull request to merge from the feature branch onto the develop branch. So that is what I'm doing here. If you notice here, I'm going to say base branch is develop, and I'm going to compare that with the feature branch. Okay, so if you notice here, it is asking me to, it has identified the, okay, there are some change. So if you see here, this is the change. So it has identified that I have updated the new test.txt file with some content, and I need to give some pull request name, right? So I'm going to say updated new test file. Okay, so once I create a pull request, I can add people to review it. So basically pull request is used for reviewing your changes. So if I give this, for example, if you notice here, it has created a pull one. Okay, and this is the first pull request I have raised. So anyone who is contributing to this particular code base or repository, they can come and review, they can give comments, they can come and review the code change. So if I notice here, if I go to commits, it will show what commit I did. Like, people can see what are the file changes. If I click on the file changes, it will showing me what is the change I did. So if you notice here, this is what I have done. Yeah, I can give comments if here itself. If I click the plus button, I can give comments here so that people can respond. So once I say that, okay, all my files and changes are good, so what do? So I need to merge the pull request, right? So this pull request needs to merge onto develop. Okay, so whoever reviews or whoever raises the pull request, they can click on the merge option once it is done. So if I see, I say confirm merge. So once I say confirm merge, this particular feature branch is now merged onto develop. So if I go to the repository, okay, if I go to, let's say, code, it shows what all branches are there. If you notice here, I have feature branch, I have master branch. If I go to the develop branches, and if I go to this new test.txt, it has the change here. Okay, so what happened is my pull request has merged the changes from the feature branch onto the develop branch. So this is how we make the this is how we push the data or the code from the feature branch onto the develop branch. From the develop branch to the master branch, you can do a maven release. If you have maven or something, you can do a maven release, or we can raise again a pull request to merge from develop branch to master. So it is not absolutely mandatory for you to have master and you develop branch, but it is generally advised to have a master branch so that you have a production ready version there. Okay, so that is how you basically push data onto the GitHub repository. Okay, so let's say if I want to clone a repository. So for example, I'm selecting this repository, so I have a repository URL. So what I need to do is I need to do a git clone command. Okay, I need to do a git clone, and if I do that, this particular repository will be cloned. Okay, and if I notice here, this particular folder has got created. So if I go inside and see, and if I say git branch, it is going to show me what branches are there, and there is only one branch called master. Okay, if you notice here, this particular repository has only one branch called master, so that is why there is only one master. And you can see all the code changes, and I can do all my code changes here. I can just touch the file, and then I can do a push. If I do a cf push, it will come here directly. And I can if I created a separate branch, I can do a pull request. I can raise a pull request and ask somebody to review that and merge it, or else I can directly push it on to develop if I'm comfortable. Okay, that is how or even the master basically. So if in my case I had only master, right, I can directly push it to master. So that is how git repository works. So I know it is slightly confusing in the initial part. If you try to recheck what I have said from the beginning, you will be able to understand a little bit, but you will get used to it only when you start working on it. So GitHub is a very good place to work with Git. So GitHub is a open source repository. You can create a number of repositories. You can come to the, you can have private repositories as well. You can just create an account in the GitHub website, and then you can play around with how to do how to use Git. You can create projects, you can push project, you can try to create pull requests, we can modify stuff, and we can play around with it. And IntelliJ has very good support for Git. So if let me know if you want me to make a video on IntelliJ on how to use Git. But yeah, hopefully you understood what Git is and what GitHub is. So that's it for this particular video. If you like the video, go ahead and like it. If you have any comments or doubts, go ahead and drop that in the comment section. So if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe as well. So that's it for this particular video. Meet you again in the next video. Thank you.